Casual Geographic's back at it again. I don't know why I said that because I don't even think this is a new video, but it's the one we're watching.
It's new to us.
I don't know. It's new to us.
And maybe to you too.
When did it come out? August 23rd, so it's not that old.
Yeah, no.
In fact, all of his shit's pretty new in the grand scheme of YouTube. So.
Probably does like a video a day. That's what people on TikTok usually do, like
I think
a video
these
a day.
are compilations of his TikTok videos.
Yeah.
I don't think these are like...
So maybe he does like a weekly YouTube of all of his...
That would make sense. Yeah. But this one has a very interesting title as well. The last one was Reasons I Would Rather Throat a Cactus Than Go in the Deep Ocean or something like that.
Definitely not that long.
Something like that. Anyway, this one's Animals That Got the Middle Finger from Evolution.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, like the last one we learned...
Are human beings going to be on here?
The last one we learned that hippos came from dolphins.
Or whales?
I thought it was dolphins.
Fuck if I know.
Did we learn anything? Did I make that up?
No, as I've said ad nauseum on this channel, I forget everything. My memory is fucking terrible. I can't remember shit. That's where I got fucked.
It's okay.
Yeah. Anyway, this is Casual Geographic, Animals That Got the Middle Finger from Evolution. Everybody throw up your middle fingers. Oh, hell,
oh
yeah.
My gosh.
Insert the Stone Cold graphic
yeah, I'll
there.
need to.
All right, here we go.
Evolution is a name Emily. That's it, that's the whole intro. Don't get me wrong, the concept of evolution is pretty cool. It's the reason giraffes get to flex their high in the entire animal kingdom. But there are just times where nature and evolution decide to team up and absolutely hoe an animal's entire existence. So here are 10 animals that I personally think got done the dirtiest. It's not exactly in order, but obviously some animals are going to get violated more flagrantly than others. And I say that because if this list were actually in order, the octopus would probably medal at the Oppression Olympics for... Well, let me explain. Octopus are highly intelligent and scientists believe they have the same cognitive ability as a 2-year-old human. Which might not seem impressive, but that means octopus are on the same IQ level as some dogs. They're even smart enough to use tools, whether it's using the tentacles of the venomous man of war as a weapon, which they actually do, or carrying a coconut around to keep as a travel-sized panic room.
Wow.
But being smart is the only thing they have going for them. First of all, most octopus come into the world as orphans. The mother octopus will spend months guarding and washing her nursery of up to 50,000 eggs.
Jesus.
Since it's too dangerous to leave them alone, since there's no daycare underwater, she often won't eat the entire time. Which means once the clutch of eggs are finally ready to hatch, the mother is shriveling, starving, and ready to become initials on a Twitter bio. Struggle doesn't end there. In fact, that's when it starts. These babies the size of a grain of rice have to figure out life in an ocean full of animals that'll actually try to put an end to it. It's so bad that out of the 50,000 children, if more than 2 survive to adulthood, it's considered overachieving. That honestly wouldn't be a big deal if nature didn't already nerf them with their lifespan. It's so ridiculously short that a majority of octopus species that live life to the fullest still won't be alive for their first birthday. Being an octopus means you can be born on New Year's, have a midlife crisis by June, only to be a memory by October. Giving an animal high intelligence just to cut its life after 1 to 2 years just seems like an intentional dick move. And because they have no shell or no armor, they'd honestly be lucky to live that long. Having no real way to defend themselves means a good number of them end up a sea lion's chew toy or a dolphin's frisbee. To be fair, octopus do have camouflage, in some cases highly toxic venom, but for the most part they get bodied by most of the ocean. And to add insult to injury, every octopus you see is probably a virgin because once they get laid, they die. We already saw what happens to the mother, but where the daddy at? Once the male octopus mates, he basically just gives up on life. The male octopus that's catched in his V-card will swim around catatonically until he either gets torn apart by predators or dies of starvation as his body falls apart due to senescence. Not like it really matters because most female octopus are bigger than the males and sometimes they'll attack and cannibalize him during. But one thing's for sure, if his date doesn't put him out of commission, his post-nut clarity will. Octopus don't live long, but for the months they're alive, their entire existence is a jihad. Now you know why Squidward couldn't give a if a paid him. But at least with the octopus, it just seems to be really bad luck. They may be a victim of circumstance, but at least you get the idea that nature didn't go out of its way to screw them. Not like with this bird. Kiwi bird is probably the best proof that evolution ain't perfect. This tiny bird is actually part of the rat-type family.
Yeah.
And this cookout includes ostriches, emus, cassowaries, and the rhea. But unlike his bigger cousins, this bird that shares its name with a fruit is about 18 inches tall and no more than 7 pounds. It's kind of like having cousins 6'3", 6'4", and 6'6", yet you came out looking like Tory Lanez. Like your family small enough to fit in an NBA locker room, yet you get it from a chair and stay the same height. But of course, nature wasn't done screwing with this bird because like its relatives, they can't fly. Totally flightless, and despite being related to ostriches, a Jurassic reject, and a bird that literally won a war against Australia, Kiwi's about as defenseless as the fruit that got named after it. Basically, you're looking at a bird that can't bird. The kiwi is such light work that they can only survive on islands without any mammalian predators because they're really a couple stray cats away from being put in the history books. And somehow, that's not it. Because nature shrunk everything about this bird. Everything except the eggs they have to push out of their body. Despite being about 60 times smaller, kiwis have to deal with eggs nearly the same size as an ostrich's. And at 20% of its body weight, that would be like the average woman birthing a 35-pound baby with the same equipment. It's such a hell to live that the egg actually rearranges the bird's organs and stretches its rib cage. There's too many things wrong with them for me not to think nature had serious beef with this bird. Especially when you realize the kiwi's closest ancestor was the elephant bird, which was about 10 feet, 1,600 pounds.
What?
So yeah, they
the
got
actual
nerfed bad.
fuck?
At least they didn't get hit as hard as, say, the sloth. For being completely honest here, the sloth has almost nothing going for it. Because they insisted on eating nothing but leaves, their diet makes them one of the slowest animals on the planet. Because they physically can't afford to spend energy they don't have, because going into debt would mean death. It's to the point where baby sloths have to quite literally hold on for dear life, because if it falls to the jungle floor, the mother likely won't waste the energy trying to get it back. And that's because if you're a sloth, leaving this tree is the most dangerous thing you'll ever do. Sloths only poop about once a week, and when they do, they'll climb out of the tree and get on the ground to do it. Why they don't just drop a deuce from the trees, I couldn't tell you. Nobody knows what goes on in their heads. But this means about half of all sloth deaths involve getting clapped on the toilet like Elvis. One thing sloths have going for them is that they're so mind-numbingly slow that algae actually grows on them, giving them free camouflage.
Yeah.
There's a catch. There is always a catch. When one of your biggest ops is an eagle with quite literally some of the best eyes in the world, wearing a moss blanket isn't going to amount to too much.
Ooh.
And you know evolution was actively f***ing with them because sloths are actually really good swimmers and can hold their breath for 40 minutes, longer than dolphins and seals. But it means almost nothing when most of the time they go swimming is by accident when they fall out of a tree. And that weak-ass doggy paddle might save them from drowning, but it won't save them from getting murked by an anaconda or a black caiman. But the really sad part is, sloths could actually be way better than this. Its close relatives, the armadillo and anteater, are able to put the same claws that it has to good use, and anteaters have even been known to swing on jaguars. You have a homicidal vacuum cleaner that has put jaguars and people in coffins, and then you have a moss blanket with a face. Just like the kiwi, the sloth used to be better than this. Megatherium, aka the giant ground sloth, was in the same weight class as elephants, and they actually knew how to use those claws. So much so that if Ice Age were realistic, Sid would have worn Diego's ass like a fur coat. But its massive size ended up screwing it in the end, as they basically got hunted into oblivion by humans, leaving us now with the virtually defenseless, dead-eyed, slower than molasses algae apartment that we call the sloth. You know that thing on TV where it's like someone gets a genie that grants wishes, but only does so in a way that horribly bends them over in the end, and the moral's supposed to be careful what you wish for? That basically sums up this next animal, because it looks like it got finessed by a genie in one of the most disrespectful ways possible. This is a fiddler crab. Male fiddlers have one giant brolic claw whose only purpose is to get a female's attention. Bee crabs choose their mate based on who has the biggest claw and therefore can pass the best genes to her clutch of eggs. The problem is, that is literally the only thing this claw is good for. Because that claw is too big to pick up food, the male fiddler crab can only feed himself with that smaller claw. That massive claw is actually a disability that means the males either eat half the food or take twice as long as the females. The only problem with that is that these crabs only eat during low tide, and the longer the crab spends eating, the more likely they are to end up as someone else's main dish. In the evolutionary arms race for female validation, the male fiddler crab is more likely to end up getting eaten by gulls, raccoons, reptiles, and sometimes even bigger crabs. And since the females enable this by being attracted to the bigger but less functional claws, the fiddler is now trapped in a vicious cycle. By preferring males with a trait that quite literally gets them put on a shirt, the females indirectly screw the next generation. Gotta be careful what you wish for, especially if you're this next animal. Because the peacock has the same problem on steroids. We can all agree that the peacock is the biggest flexor in the animal kingdom, and rightfully so. And just like with the crab and basically every other aspect of life, bigger is most certainly better. The more colorful and eye-catching, the better the peacock's chances at bagging a peahead. They'll even shimmy their tail feathers in a way that hypnotizes any female watching. But like I said, never make a deal with a genie. Because the good news is a peacock showing off will always be the center of attention. Bad news is sometimes that attention comes from a 700-pound assault weapon with stripes. And because those tail feathers are so heavy, not only can't the peacock see behind itself, even if it does see death coming, it takes them longer to get off the ground and out of the tiger's reach. Just like with the crab, the peacock's biggest flex is often what gets it buried. In a cruel twist from fate, the peacocks that are safer from tigers are usually the ones that get less attention from females. So by having a preference, the peahens doom their future children to a fate of ultimately ending up as a tiger's toothpick. The peacock and fiddler both got handed massive L's from nature, but at least you can see the thought process behind it. Having huge claws and fancy feathers attracts females, so technically it does serve a purpose. In comparison, the Luna moth got shafted for no reason at all. To make a long story short, adult Luna moths don't have a mouth and therefore can't eat.
Wait,
the only
what?
thing keeping them alive is the energy they store as caterpillars, but once that runs out, so does their time. Luna moths live for about a week, just long enough to reproduce and doom their children to the same fate of a non-consensual hunger strike. If you ask Google why the Luna moth doesn't have a mouth, it'll tell you because its only purpose is to mate. Which is really nature not giving a fraction of a about them. Yeah, that's cruel. Question is, what could possibly be crueler? Well, if you know what this is, you probably have the answer. This is a sea louse. It's a member of the Caligidae family of copepods, which is basically just a bunch of small crustaceans. Now, you probably noticed that for the peacocks and the crabs, it was the guys getting the worst of it. Apparently, nature believes in a weird form of equality because right now it's up for the girls. The horror show starts when a male sea louse kidnaps a much smaller female and then forcibly drags her into what I can only describe as a crustacean sex dungeon, where he can have up to 20 other victims also trapped. It's at this moment where this movie loses its rating because the male will forcibly impregnate every last female in his burrow, and this often involves penetrating her abdomen. Don't worry, it gets worse.
What?
As her brood of children that she never asked for begin to grow, they decide to start eating their way out. Eventually, the mother's body splits open as her nursery of psychopaths rush out of her now mutilated husk of a corpse. This might be one of the only times where the babies abort the mother. She doesn't even really get to give birth, her children just bring her death. You might be wondering why evolution would even give this nonsense the green light. Well, the newborn sea louse are entering an ocean full of danger, and having a full meal before they make it out on their own apparently increases their chance of survival. And by cannibalizing their own mother, it's basically a home-cooked meal. Somehow, this isn't even the worst birth on this list. That title belongs to the hyena because straight-up death is actually better than what they go through. Female hyenas evolved a pseudo-penis that's so similar to the real thing, it's actually difficult to tell males and females apart.
What?
This is actually a female. Only problem is, it's not just for show, they actually have to give birth through that thing, and yes, it's every bit as painful as you think. And just to somehow make it even worse relative to the mother's size, hyenas have to give birth to the largest cubs of any carnivore, and they have to do it through a penis. Good amount of first-time mothers don't even survive this because the process involves rupturing and splitting open the pseudo to make it easier for the cub. But the cubs don't get it easy either. About 60% of hyena cubs will suffocate on the way out and become past tense before technically even joining the present. And you would think, because this directly affects the mother and the cub, that evolution would have patched this. But apparently nature and Lion King have something in common when it comes to doing hyenas dirty.
Shit.
But if we're talking about an animal that got done dirty,
Yeah.
this picture kind of speaks for itself. Matter of fact, this is probably going to be the thumbnail because this is nature at its grimiest. A lot of y'all probably knew this animal is coming just from reading the title, but for those of you that didn't, that was the skull of the Babirusa. It's a wild pig found in Indonesian islands like Sulawesi. If you already knew that, it's probably because of those teeth. Those tusks penetrate out of its snout only to do a complete 180 and head right back towards its face. If the male Babirusa can't wear down this hellish overbite or he doesn't lose them in a fight, then the teeth will end up growing right back into his head, penetrating the skull and ultimately piercing the brain. But the worst part of it all is that by the time it gets clapped by its own dental plan, the Babirusa's probably already had children and therefore passed on its bullshit to its kids. It's a lot like Parkinson's. Okay, hear me out. The problem with Parkinson's is that it usually develops late in life, usually around the age of 60. And patients can have it for years without being diagnosed. So by the time they do find out, it's possible they could have already had kids and grandkids that they could have passed it off to. See the problem, right? The only good thing is that it's somewhat rare for a child to inherit Parkinson's from their parents. The Babirusa, not so lucky. And as long as females find big tusks attractive, and as long as the tusks only murk them after they've had babies, this pig is going to be screwed eternally and evolution can't even stop it. But when you talk about being sodomized by the fleshy phallus of nature, you're probably talking about cheetahs. If you watch Tirzu, if you're watching this, you probably do. You probably heard him say that cheetahs are F-tier garbage that either need to be buffed or just vaulted out of their misery. I love cheetahs, I really do, but out of every animal on this list, evolution might have bodied the cheetah the hardest, and for one simple reason. Cheetahs are really fast. That is all they have. Cheetahs are a textbook example of why you should never dump all your evolution points in one skill, because you'll just get bent over in every other aspect of life. Because they're built for speed and absolutely nothing else, cheetahs often get bullied by other predators, especially lions and hyenas. And because cheetahs have to expend so much energy just to make a kill, it forces them to rest right after, which makes it really easy for other animals to just step in and run their pockets.
Whoa.
But for
Whoa.
real, if you're a cat and a bird that literally only eats the dead is able to run you off, you got a lot of problems. Worst part is, cheetahs could easily avoid all of this. Leopards are also lightweight, solitary hunters that occasionally get their food stolen, but they're able to carry their kills up in trees where they can't get harassed by scavengers. But in the evolutionary race for speed, cheetahs evolved non-retractable claws to use as cleats to keep traction while running. Which is why cheetahs can't climb trees, so they gotta get violated on the ground. Cheetahs are such pushovers that one hyena can successfully rob several cheetahs right in their face and then dare them to do something about it. Cheetahs compromised everything for speed, so now they get to speedrun through life. About 70% of cheetah cubs born in the wild will be 6 feet under before their first birthday. And just to add on to that, because why the hell not, thanks to genetic bottleneck, a majority of the cheetah population is highly inbred. What you're looking at is a cat that doesn't really know how to cat. Because instead of roaring like lions, tigers, and leopards, the best this spotted doormat can do is chirp like a bird. Matter of fact, if you YouTube it real quick, you'll find they make every sound that isn't a roar. And that's how you know evolution went out of its way to them. Cheetahs have been around for about 3 million years and decided they were just gonna IM speed their way through life. And because of that, unless it's a 100-meter dash or a bird call contest, this overgrown house cat loses every single time. Obviously, there's a lot of good things about the cheetah, but not nearly enough to justify the abuse they go through. Which is probably why a majority of cheetahs in captivity experience severe anxiety so bad that prevents them from mating and they need an emotional support dog. Which is cute, don't get me wrong, but it's another reason why cheetahs are dangerously close to being the pandas of cats, and that's not something anyone wants to be. And don't get it twisted, I don't enjoy roasting cheetahs, I actually really love them, but if nature has favorites, this Cheetos mascot isn't one of them. And those are 10 animals that got the middle finger from evolution. I'm not gonna lie to you, this video was low-key a pain to make. So if you like the video and you'd like to support this channel, my Patreon's gonna be in the description, but please, don't give money if you can't afford it. Because honestly, I don't need money, I just wanted to cover my crippling Wendy's addiction. Subscribing doesn't cost you anything, so think about it.
Who got shafted the hardest?
Definitely the louse thing.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
That's disgusting.
I don't know.
I mean, they all sucked.
The crustacean that got drug into the Arpe dungeon.
That's the louse. Yeah.
That's what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the worst.
That's the worst.
So that's not number one. Just fuck
I
that.
think we agree. Yeah.
Hyenas?
The Arpe dungeon, not good.
I had no clue. Why? That doesn't make any sense why it would evolve into that kind of sheath outside.
I didn't want to see its thing, man. But I did.
It's not wiener. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Was that its roast beef? Is that what it would be equivalent to? What is that?
No. Well, it said, you can click back and it literally said, I mean, I don't care. It doesn't bother me.
I know what it said. I'm saying, like, what's it the equivalent to?
It's not its labia. I don't know. Would it be its labia? I don't know.
The laundry chute. Who knows?
That doesn't make any sense. It just said something about its clitoris, so it's not I don't know. I don't know.
I am a changed man and I can't go back.
Now I'm curious. I'm going to have to
be here.
For the next hour, I'm going to be like, what was that? How does that work?
Yeah, that was spectacular.
The octopus, I knew that they were extremely smart.
I didn't know they died so fast.
I didn't either. I mean, it makes sense because they don't have any armor, but they're so smart. So, I don't know what I thought, but I didn't know that they had so many babies. And then the mom
Is it squid that just live forever and keep growing?
I think squid. I don't know how long they live.
I don't know, but they're huge, right?
Some of them.
Like the kraken and shit.
There's giants. There's different kinds of
squid.
Right,
so they're not just born fucking elephants and then a week later they're dead. Those things have to grow to be massive. I think they live for really long time.
There's all sorts of different kinds of squid.
Let me know down in the comments. I'm pretty sure
not
squids
every
live for a long time.
squid is a giant squid.
I didn't say that everyone was, but the ones that are can't just be born that way.
Insert Lady Gaga song here. The poor kiwi.
Dude, I saw a show one time and it was like, where are those things from? New Zealand?
Yeah.
There was this restaurant that had a problem that those things were breaking in at night and getting in. Like, evidently, they're really smart.
Stuff? Huh?
Yeah, they, like, couldn't keep them. They were trying to figure out, they had to set up a bunch of cameras, and it showed them, like, sneaking in and, like, waddling around.
They're so cute.
Yeah, it looked like a fucking CGI, like movie or something. Just these little fuckers, like, God damn kiwis breaking into the kitchen again. You know, they kind of sound like Australians or whatever. But yeah, that shit was funny as hell.
So funny. So the Luna moth, I've seen those before. Thought they were beautiful. I don't fuck with moths. I don't fuck with butterflies. There's a story behind that. But I think they're beautiful. I had no idea.
That thing's existence brings me, like, depression. Like, I want to just...
And it has no idea.
Create a tube for them to eat or to be nourished.
Once it's the moth, like, is it just like, light? Like, what? It can't do anything.
I think it's only that one, though. It's like, I've got to get my rocks off and die.
Yeah, but once it does, then like, what does it try to do? Like, What's its daily purpose? What does it do? Is it hungry?
Then it just speed ran the game.
Every time I see one of those, I'm going to be so sad.
Do you see those?
Yeah, I've seen those before.
Anyway, look, man, I'm not God. I can't do anything about this shit.
It's so sad, though.
I can't sit here and worry about that shit. As terrible as it is, if I see one, I'll end his shit just immediately. You know, fucking kill that thing. Fuck it. If not, it suffers.
I don't know. That's not our place.
But then again, like, not to get all philosophical and shit, but at the same time, like, we all suffer. Life is suffering in a lot of ways, you know. The little pleasures that we have are often just something to remove suffering.
There's a quote, and it's like, life is suffering peppered in with good intentions or something like that.
So that's just an extreme example of the reality we all face every day. Anyway.
The sloth. Let's just talk about the sloth.
To get worse, no, when he said the thing about dropping the baby and it wouldn't use the energy to go get it.
Oh.
But I was like, you're telling me it wouldn't use the energy to go get it. But it'll go down the tree to take a shit?
Yeah, I know. It doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make any sense.
I feel like you could totally take a shit in a tree.
You totally could take a shit from a tree.
It's not like it has to like wipe its ass or anything. Like it's just gonna be.
We probably know plenty of people that have taken shits out of a tree and like deer stands hunting and
I don't know
shit like that.
I don't know. We have a zoo. Chad hasn't been, but there's a zoo close to us. It's a very small zoo.
What do you mean I haven't been?
You haven't been? It's called Brott's Zoo. You didn't go there. And you had a wrestling event, and it took, like, all day, so I drove, like, 20 minutes up the road while you were busy, and I went to the zoo by myself, and they had this small enclosure just off to the side. You probably wouldn't have even noticed, and I was like, no fucking way. What is that? And they had, like, these little burrows, because it was in the middle of the day. They were asleep, and they had sloths, and I cried.
Did they stink?
I couldn't see. Like, they were behind plexiglass inside.
To me, they're just like these little Ewok versions of Swamp Thing that just like...
I used to want a sloth. Before I wanted a pig, I think. I had like researched sloths and like there's this YouTube video.
Well, I'm slow, so...
Oh my god.
You kind of go slow.
There's this YouTube video of these women taking care of these baby sloths, and they get like lice and like all sorts of bugs and stuff, so they shave them and slather them in this like butter ointment stuff and then put gauze, and it looks like little like pajamas on them, and they make these cute little noises, and they're so cute. And I was like, I want a sloth. Well, then I looked up a full-grown sloth, and someone was holding it, and I was like, I don't think I could do that. Thing would freak me the fuck out, and I would end up punching it.
And then it's just like,
yeah, that picture of that one, the meme. You know what I'm talking about? That's fucking creepy. With his fucking bowl haircut and shit. Like, they're cute as babies, but just like crawling around on the floor, I would probably really get freaked out. Like in the middle of the night or something.
I'm over these fucking tragedies. Thanks a lot, Casual Geographic. You ruined my fucking night. I appreciate it.
It is sad.
It is sad. But no, this guy does a great job. He's making some killer videos, and I'm glad that they're available on YouTube for us to check out and for us to share with you. And we would like to share a link down in the description of this video of the original video that we just reacted to. And we encourage you to go subscribe to the channel, give his videos some likes, go and watch his other stuff. You know, we're going one at a time here and doing reactions, but, you know, I'm going to go ahead and put a like on this video. It's great stuff, and it's a young guy who's out here killing it. More power to him, because we need more people who put out quality content like this in the ecosystem.
Go support his Wendy's addiction.
Go support his Wendy's addiction. You guys are great. We appreciate the support. We're close to 11,000 subscribers right now, which is really unbelievable.
It's weird.
So, you know, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, it would be really cool if you would at least consider that and consider supporting us with a like, a comment. You could let us know what kind of videos you would like to see us react to down in the comment section.
Or on our Discord channel, which we will have linked below underneath the link for this video.
And we like to go live and open up the chat in the Discord and allow people to talk to me or Nikki or whatever while we're playing a game or just hanging out. So, you know, we try to do stuff that's different. So if you want to be a part of the live stream, you can get a hold of me on Discord. You can talk to me, and maybe we can work that out. But it's been really fun, and I want to continue to do that. So
absolutely,
something to think about.
Something I'm going to throw out there is we are actually in the process of recording for our Patreon.
Oh.
I know that I've been saying that a lot. But we actually have some stuff coming out probably within the next,
About a week.
About a week or maybe a week and a half. But yeah, I'm really excited for that.
Me too.
So be on the lookout.
It's been a lot of fun because it's stuff that we really, really like.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's long form, so we're going to put it on Patreon and not YouTube. But it'll be there for you to join if you feel like it. If not, we'll be dropping stuff almost every single day and going live a few times a week. So go ahead and subscribe. Hang out with us. Have we begged you enough?
Please.
All right.
Okay.
I think that's going to do it.
Yeah.
See y'all.
See you.